I never used to believe in urban legends. I'd always laughed them off as silly stories people told to scare each other. Black-eyed children? Yeah, right. It was nothing more than a creepy internet tale meant to freak out gullible people. At least, that's what I thought, until the night they knocked on my door. It was late October, the kind of cold, crisp evening where you can feel winter creeping in. My wife was out of town visiting her sister, so it was just me and my dog, Scout. He's a big Labrador, goofy and lovable, but protective when he needs to be. Normally, he'd bark at every little sound, branches creaking, cars passing by. But that night, he was oddly quiet. I was sitting on the couch, mindlessly scrolling through my phone while the TV murmured in the background. The house was so still, I could hear the hum of the refrigerator. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, just enjoying the peace and quiet when I heard it tap, tap, tap. 3 soft knocks at the door. I froze, my thumb hovering over my phone screen. It wasn't loud or urgent, but it felt wrong. Who knocks on someone's door at this hour? It was almost midnight, and I wasn't expecting anyone. Scout's ears perked up, and he let out a low growl, so low I could feel the vibration in my chest. "Who is it?" I called out, my voice wavering slightly. No response. I stood up, my heart pounding as I moved toward the door. Scout followed me, his growl growing louder. I flipped on the porch light and peered through the peephole. 2 figures stood on the porch, a boy and a girl. They looked young, maybe 8 or 9 for the boy, and 6 for the girl. The boy wore a dark hoodie, and the girl clutched a stuffed animal. Their heads were bowed slightly, their faces hidden in shadow. "Can I help you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The boy lifted his head just enough for me to see his mouth move. "We're lost," he said, his voice flat, emotionless. "Can we come in and use your phone?" Scout's growling turned into a bark, loud and sharp. He stood between me and the door, his hackles raised. That's when the unease hit me like a wave. Something about the boy's voice. It wasn't right. It sounded too rehearsed, too mechanical, like he was reading from a script. "I can call someone for you," I offered, gripping the doorknob tightly. The boy shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "We need to come inside." The girl looked up then, and for the first time, I noticed how still they were. They didn't fidget or shift their weight like normal kids. They stood perfectly still, like statues. Scout barked, again, louder this time, and the girl spoke. "Your dog doesn't like us." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but there was something chilling about it. She said it like it was a fact, not an observation, like she knew. The boy stepped forward into the light. That's when I saw them, his eyes. They were black, completely black. No whites, no irises, just solid, bottomless darkness. I stumbled back from the door, my chest tightening with fear. "Please," the boy said, his voice colder now. "Let us in." My hand trembled as I gripped the doorknob. My instinct screamed at me not to open it. There was something so wrong about them, something unnatural. "We can't come in unless you invite us," the girl said, her head tilting to one side. Her tone was calm, almost bored, but her words sent chills down my spine. Scout was barking like mad now, his teeth bared as he stood his ground. I backed away from the door, but the knocking started again. Bang, bang, bang. This time it wasn't soft. It was loud and forceful, like they were trying to break the door. "Down! We just want to come in," the boy said, his voice louder, more insistent. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking as I dialed 911. But when I looked back at the door, the knocking had stopped. I approached the peephole cautiously, my heart pounding in my ears. The porch was empty. The next morning I checked the porch. There were no footprints, no signs that anyone had been there. But Scout refused to go near the door. For days he'd growl at it, his tail tucked between his legs. I tried to put the incident out of my mind. Maybe it was a prank, I told myself. Maybe I was just overtired, imagining things. But then, a few weeks later, I stumbled across a post on a local community forum. Someone had written about a strange encounter they'd had. A pair of children, knocking on their door late at night, asking to be let in. They described the same black eyes, the same eerie stillness. I started reading more, diving into every story I could find about black-eyed children. The accounts were eerily similar. Kids showing up out of nowhere, asking to come inside, but always needing an invitation. One post stood out. It was from someone claiming to have let them in. The poster described how everything went black the moment they opened the door, and when they woke up, they were alone. But they felt different, like something had changed. The thought haunted me. What would have happened if I had opened the door? That night, to this day, I don't know what those kids were or where they came from. But one thing's for sure. I'm never opening my door after dark again.